Hello and welcome everyone to the Division 8 matchup between Sacred Heart University and Northeastern C team. So I believe this is the first time I'm covering Sacred Heart. I was reached out to by one of their players who I believe is also a streamer. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brent, but this should be exciting to see these two teams. I don't know exactly what the lineups are looking like, but we do have a game that started here. So Brent is their second best player at Sacred Heart, and they're up against the board 3 from Northeastern C. Well, actually, that player appears offline, apparently. But yeah, the match should be starting any minute now. So I'll be on for about an hour to cover these games. They rescheduled to today right now. So it is a Monday match. I guess they were busy during the weekend, so they're playing now. That's one of the nice things about the Collegiate Chess League is that teams have the power to reschedule at their best convenience. So most of our matches are played at Saturday mornings. That's the default time if they can't come to some sort of rescheduling agreement. But if you can't agree, you can change it to really whenever's best for them. So I know the college students are pretty busy with their lives and their studies and whatever. Lots of different things that college kids do, especially on weekends. So we try to make the league as convenient as possible for the players. So what do we have here? We have a Slav defense, it seems. D4, D5. Pretty standard development. Black has castled kingside and white has done the same. So both sides pretty much done with their development. Black just needs to get this light square bishop out somewhere. So where do you want to go? You don't really want to play b6 because you trap your bishop. You can go to d7. This bishop might take or drop back. Try to control e5 a little bit. I like to play for e5 a lot of times. It's kind of hard though. White has a pretty good grip. Okay, so we see the knight going to h5, going after the dark square bishop. So this actually makes a lot of sense because I was thinking you contest it with your own bishop, but knight h5 works. In a lot of e4, e5 openings, the knight that comes to h5 can actually be a target, a weakness to this queen here, staring at the knight through their own knight. So with e4, e5 kind of stuff, you can see a sacrifice sometimes with this knight grabbing a pawn because you get the knight back. Instead, we have no reaction to the bishop. Instead, the queen comes out saying, well, your knight on f6, that was defending h7. It's no longer on f6, so h7 is now a target. So the queen comes there, and now the knight comes back. This is a very passive move, essentially saying that I gone here to come back, so I've allowed white to just put their queen here, free of consequence. This is not the best move, or at least series of moves. This plan knight h5 just to come back to f6, kind of giving white a couple free tempos here. Maybe better than that was potentially f5, but if you don't want to commit the f pawn, the knight coming back is totally fine. If you play g6, you drop this pawn with tempo. So really the only two options were knight back to f6 or f5. Brent probably went over those two in their mind and decided that they didn't want to play f5. So f6 it is. And now white goes for f4. Now they're threatening e5. Black takes the knight here. And yeah, this can get bad fast because white doesn't need to retake on c3. The whole purpose of e4 was to simply play e5. That was not addressed. at all. And the downside of e5 is that it attacks the knight. And this knight is what's defending checkmate. So if you move the knight, you lose the game. Unless you go here. I think you should go here, and then white will recapture on c3. Downside of knight to e4 is that now the knight is very weak, susceptible to certain attacks. If you save the bishop and they take here, you can't even take the pawn back. You have to defend h7. You'd have to play g6. You lose the h6 pawn. So really not ideal to leave the knight here. So luckily e4 was available. But now white's going to gang up on this knight. Knight here, rook here, pawn here. Anything to get this guy to budge. And this combo right here is very deadly. So white takes back on c3 with the pawn, not distracting the queen. Well, the knight also kind of protects this a little bit, so you had to take back with the pawn. But yeah, this just reinforcing the pawn chain, keeps an eye on b4. The last thing you want is to allow for this knight to pick up this bishop, because the bishop-queen combo is the main threat. Just looking at h7. So yeah, I think after you play knight h5, queen d3, maybe f5 is the best plan at that point. Okay, we have another game here. Danger Meyer versus Thomas Cusack. So Danger Meyer, Daniel, this is actually one of the leaders at Sacred Heart. Their best player at 2100. Pretty good. About 1,000 rating points higher than the opponent. A little bit less than that, but at that point, the difference is not that much. Let me make sure I'm following the other players as well before I miss anything. Okay, so we do see the knight coming. Oh, I don't know what that was. What did I look up? Okay. Sorry about that. We have Pie Master Antoine. This is one of the leaders from Northeastern, actually. Anthony. Playing against Rez Martian, who is Jordan Bauer, the board 3 from Sacred Heart. So it looks like black is up a knight and 2 pawns. So should be able to convert this. Pie Master. So 1400 versus 800. So yeah, Sacred Heart, they only registered 1 team. They don't have a crazy number of players on their club. So that's why you have their top 2 boards being 2100 and 1800. Their third board is 800. So about 1,000 rating point difference between their board 2 and board 3, which is quite a lot. So Rez Martian getting checkmated by Pie Master. So let's give Pie Master the first point. I might have missed Daniel Safranchik versus Thunder Ross. Do we get Thunder Ross's game in? Oh, here it is. So they just started. Okay, so one of the 4 games is finished. An early knight a4, hitting the bishop. And not taking the bishop yet. Very interesting. The knight here, normally you want to go after this, and playing a move like c3 can be very dangerous. Because c3 is one of the squares that the knight could retreat to. Now it's no longer an option, but I like this d4 pawn break a lot. And yeah, taking the center here, you have both these pawns defended. Bishop check, bishop block, takes, and queen takes. There is this pawn hanging here. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of bringing the knight to a4 and not taking the bishop. Black has traded off their bishop for our bishop now, and our knight's kind of awkwardly placed. on a4 now. So I think white should castle long, or bishop e2. Oh, king d1. That might be a mouse slip. I don't know. Okay, knight goes into e4 now. But after white had saved the pawn. Yeah, Sanfranchik is about double Thunder Ross's rating. So, okay, queen here. Keeping an eye over f2. Okay, pawn here. You could play en passant, but just because you could doesn't mean you should. If you do, you open up the rook opposite your queen. If you don't, this knight's really well placed. It can be challenged, though, with a knight or the bishop and eventually the pawn. So not necessarily the best outpost square, but a good outpost square for now. The knight's very nicely placed in the center. Bishop here for black at some point is going to threaten taking here, taking advantage of this pin, which is a really big pin because the queen and the king are here. But first off, the knight has to be addressed, and looks like the knight goes into b4. So what is the plan with this? Ooh, bishop here first. Wow. I guess you go to e3. Huh. But yeah, knight b4 is a bit risky because it's hard to retreat the knight. In fact, the knight actually might be trapped. So we do see queen e3. Let me go back to Brent's game really quick. Let's see how this is going. So we do eventually have f5, which helps. I think that after f5, if en passant, we have knight takes back. But you could play bishop here, but the king at least isn't getting mated. This is highly committal. Very dangerous. A simple h4. Ooh. Check here. Check. Block. Takes. Queen takes. Oh, that was missed by white. Trade of queens is really bad. Down a piece. Yeah, takes here. And that's hitting this. This is a pin. The pawn is also hanging. So this is really good for black. Yeah, taking here, taking here. This is now hanging. This is very close to a forced mate. Bringing the rook back would be really nice. That's mate in one. Nice. So Brent gets that one. First point for Sacred Heart. Let's check in on Thomas Cusack versus Dangermeyer. So Daniel's last name is, I believe it's Angermeyer. His first name is Daniel, so he's combined the first letter with his last name to get Dangermeyer. Although I guess maybe it's pronounced Dangermeyer. I don't know. But either way, Danger is a cool name. His position isn't as dangerous as his name now. He does have a really nice connected passed c-pawn. This is a very long-term advantage for sure. And yeah, here he's just breaking on the rest of this pawn chain. He wants to get the b pawn rolling. So this is really nice position for black. And it's going to be hard for white to really defend here. I think that you can take, bring the rook to the a file. You could do nothing. You could bring the rook to the a file right now. Maybe double up first. Maybe get this queen to f8 somehow. Maybe bishop trade. Preparing queen e7. Lots of great ideas here for black. Essentially, black has the time and the space to really dictate the pace of the game. So they decide to trade first, pawn takes, and only now to take the a file. But Thomas Cusack's very low on time. Going after the center, this is good. Not really threatening to go to e5, I don't think. I think you want to open this up. So yeah, trades here, rook takes. This pawn is isolated, this pawn is isolated. So I think rook here or here, both great ideas. So defending this, maybe rook here. Pressure on the d pawn. 40 seconds to 20 seconds. Okay, going here, trying to play here. The queen blocks that. So that's why I liked rook a3 a little bit. I wanted to get to d3 and go after the d pawn. So I think doubling on the a file makes a lot of sense. And that's exactly what danger goes for. I'm just going to call him danger from now on. Rook here, 100%. Yes, and now the queen goes here. But now you go here. And how do you save that pawn? Oh, hitting the queen. You're picking up this pawn next. Wait, are you losing this bishop? No, you can take here. Okay, going here instead. This is a bit safer of a move. Queen here, though. Nice move from white. So now what? Now what do you do? Okay, queen centralizing. Flight square for white. This is important. Black does not have a flight square yet. If queen takes pawn, you lose this. Oh, you lose that regardless. Wow. So the best move for white at this point would have been to play queen to e4. Not so easy to see. But trade, pawn push, rook here probably. And it's very difficult to stop this. Maybe bring the rook back. Yeah, it's hard to say. But well done from Danger Miner, putting on the pressure. Getting that lead for Sacred Heart. So the top two boards, not surprisingly, doing well for Sacred Heart against the bottom two boards from Northeastern. So now it's up to Northeastern's top board. Semfrichik. I don't know if I said that right. Oh, did this game just end? That was a fast checkmate. It immediately took me to the next game. So Thunder Ross, getting his kingside kind of ripped open here by this queen. Getting chased around. Check, 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 and mate. So, yeah, top two boards for both teams. Doing well so far. It's tied 2-2 after the first round. No upsets. We're underway with round 2 now. So how's the match going to look here? So Shajin, what is this? Sajin, Sanat, Shajin up against Dangermeyer. Again, I think Dangermeyer is going to be the favorite in every single game he plays today. Maybe the same with Brent as well. Rez Martian at 800 versus the top board from Northeastern, Safranchik. And here we have Thunder Ross versus Pie Master. This honestly might be the closest match rating-wise across the four. I think in the later rounds we will see a much closer match. I think like Brent's versus Daniel will be close. That's Sacred Heart's board 2 versus Northeastern's board 1. I think that's only like 200 rating point difference. Here we have Brent's versus Thomas Cusack. So yeah, Thomas Cusack also versus Jordan Bauer, the board 3 from Sacred Heart. That'll be another closer match. But still, it's like 400 rating point difference. So the games themselves are going to be quite lopsided, but the match overall could be very close. In fact, it's dead even right now. So yeah, I guess I don't know. It's like it's basically how hard can the top two players from Sacred Heart carry their bottom two, and whether or not Northeastern C can get any upset wins against them, or if the bottom two boards from Northeastern are going to beat the bottom two boards from Sacred Heart. So, very interesting dynamic here in the lower divisions, especially if you have like an A team versus a C team. Because the A team can have really strong players from a school, but they just don't have a good team because they're very top heavy. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. Northeastern has a lot of teams registered, which is why this is their C team, and their team average is more closer in line with each other. as opposed to an A team that could have just not enough players of the same strength to all be on the same team. So, anyways, back to the chess, I guess. We're just rambling on here. So black is castle. We have opposite side castles here. White launching a lot of pawns. Okay, f6 is a bit weakening. f5, hoping for takes or push. Now the d pawn is quite weak, and white has a very strong grip over d5. So this pawn will be essentially stuck here for the time being. And because of that, this bishop is blocked in. So you notice how white has been pushing all of these king side pawns. Black has been following suit. They played f6, they played g6. They're like matching all of these pawn pushes with pawn pushes of their own. This is not the best way to play. This is very defensive, very passive. And actually now, if bishop takes, the king has to take. If you play rook takes, the knight here actually wins a piece. So they don't go for that. Instead, they bring the bishop back. I think like what I want to note about this playstyle is that in opposite side castles games, it's really all about the activity and the counterattacking chances, right? So what's so great about these games is that you are free to launch the attack on the opposite side of the board. That's exactly what white's doing. Black is not doing that at all. These pawns haven't moved. These pieces haven't developed. Every time white has started to try to expand, black has been trying to meet that with pawn moves of their own, which is a recipe for disaster, because now this king side is going to be completely torn to shreds. Everything's going to blast open, and these rooks are going to be very happy barreling down on black's king side. Meanwhile, over here, white's king is enjoying a very nice sheltered lifestyle over here, defended by a pearly gate here of white pawns. We see that now this is opened up. The rook is staring at this pawn. Well, let's see. I mean, the pawn is a goner, but white can pick up this pawn as well. And actually, oh no, actually, that was just checkmate. Oh no. I've never seen that. So pawn takes on g6. Rook g7, checkmate. I wish I saw that earlier. That was gnarly. Whew. Jeez, that mate. Okay. Well, point to Daniel. Nicely done. I was just rambling on. I wasn't even looking at the position. Very unfortunate. Always calculate checks. But yeah, that was a really nice attack from Daniel against the third board from Sacred Heart. So what are we looking at here? Danger Meyer grabbing a pawn in the center. Maybe black will bring the rooks towards the center, opposite the queen. This knight could be weak. Rook here threatens some knight move, but the knight move would drop this. So okay, bishop comes back, hitting the queen. Queen with strong intentions. So what do? You can play here, you can play here, you can play here. Couple of options. They're not all that great though. So knight comes here. Now if this rook could leapfrog over the queen, it would do so. It would take this bishop because pawn takes, queen takes is very good. So perhaps we'll see a queen move, just getting out of the way of the rook. It's one possibility. The knight is attacking the bishop, so you do have to keep that in mind. So the bishop takes a step back, the counter punch on the queen for first, for safety, and just keeping pressure. We'll save the queen move for later. So black will likely move their queen. If you don't want to move the queen, you technically could play here. I don't know if that's any good or not, but probably not, because bishop takes probably wins material. You can't take with the queen or the knight because of mate, so if it takes with queen, then you take. So the queen does move. The punch at b2. Okay, knight here hits the queen, defends the pawn, but it can be taken. Instead, the queen simply moves. And with the counterpunch to the knight, I'm guessing this, but then takes, so probably not that. So your b pawn is hanging, I guess, unless you go maybe, I don't know. I was looking at this idea. This might be an idea, but I don't think so. I was thinking maybe we take here, but bishop takes defends the knight. So a minute and a half to 30 seconds. White does go for d6, but this does drop the pawn. Doesn't have too many threats. I mean, take here, I guess we could take here. Only 18 seconds though. Shajin's gotta go quicker. Okay, offering queen trade. Interesting. So if queen takes, bishop takes, and the pawn is defended, this knight is a little awkwardly placed. Okay, trade. Rook here. Bishop takes a pawn. Can you play b3 now? b3 here, here takes. I think you could. They take on b7 instead. This is, oh, they missed the discovery. That's also a hanging piece. You should take with the knight. No. Now, yeah. Now they're down a whole rook. Here, I mean, you can sack the rook for this knight. You can get 2 pieces for the rook. Yeah, wow, and they find it. Beautiful. Okay, knight back with a fork, but you could simply just double up the rooks. You still get 2 pieces for the rook, and so now you're just up 2 whole pieces. So this is lost for Shajin, unfortunately. This rook cannot leave, as the bishop covers the flight square. Okay, so now the king has a new flight square. But things are coming down. Probably knight here now. Oh, but the knight blocks the bishop. It's just over. Let's check out maybe Thomas Cusack's game. Only 15 seconds. And a lot of pawns for white, but black is trying to run this pawn. So I think that white could actually just give up the rook. This rook needs to impose, I think. Like, we need rook here. I think that is your best bet, but it's probably too much. They're trying for it. Not even allowing the rook block. So yeah. 5 pawns now versus a rook, so technically balanced material, but the pawns are too strong and too plenty. 1 pawn island, they're all connected. Oh, we had Danger Meyer here winning with checkmate. 2 rooks. So Brent and Danger again winning both their games. So now we're down to Pie Master versus Thunder Ross. Is Pie Master going to win this one? Let's see, what's the material? It's 2 pieces versus a rook, which is better for white. Black trades queens, so white's pretty happy about that. This rook's got a lot of work cut out for it. You don't want to go to h8. Although you want to go to h8, but you really don't. I guess he but not taken. Are you going to save? Are you going to play? Probably they're going to play here or something. Okay, check, save the rook. Very nice. Nicely done from Thunder Ross. If Thunder Ross could get an upset win here, that would be huge for Sacred Heart. Right now, Sacred Heart's up a game, but Northeastern looks like they should be able to secure this one. They are in time pressure, though. Only 10 seconds for white. And they did miss a free rook. But they are gobbling up these pawns. And, ooh, they stepped into a fork. Oh, and that's really going to go all your chances. I mean, if white messes up, maybe this pawn can go, but there's always a bishop and just pawn here. There's this move, there's that move, there's, yeah. And even like without these pawns, this king could never take these pawns. Just whenever you have connected passed pawns and the king endgame, they're just never able to be caught. So black has been spending a lot of king moves, but they really needed to get rid of their pawns, right? So unfortunately, they still will always have pawn moves, and by then it's too late. So Pie Master keeping it tied. Again, the top two boards flawless so far. The bottom two boards not getting any wins yet. So here we go. This is Thomas Cusack, bottom board from Northeastern, versus Rez Martian, board 3 from Sacred Heart. So Rez Martian's had a tough go so far. I mean, it's tough to play players that are 2 to 3 times higher than your rating. So now, their first opponent that's not over double their rating is Thomas, the 4th board from Northeastern. Rez Martian. Jordan's going to just try to see if they can muster up a better chance here. You cannot take this pawn. I mean, you can, but at a cost. You could pretty much do anything in chess at a cost. Every move has a consequence. So black castles, they didn't take, which is nice. So now they can take, and this doesn't come with a fork. It just comes with a hit, but the knight is a little short on squares. Can always come back here, but this pawn is going to be questioned. In fact, pawn takes, let's say bishop takes, queen takes. You hit both of these. Bishop's going to have to be defended. So, okay, knight here. Interposing between the queen and the pawn. This is nice. Can we go here? There's always knight takes here. Yeah, this is a nice move. If you develop the bishop to save it, you could lose this pawn. Although at that point, it's very risky. The knight could just come back this way, though. So yeah, I like this move a lot from white. The Thomas being very annoying here with the pieces. And to be annoying in chess is a good thing. Normally when you say that someone's annoying, it's not a good thing. It's not a compliment. But I think being annoying on the chessboard is a good thing. I think it's a compliment to the chess skill. People might disagree with me, but anywho, we see b6. Now I like this move a lot from white. You just can't take because you drop the defense of the knight. So this pawn for the moment is pinned. Black is attacking it, but again, this knight has a move, and they find it. So rook takes. I think I would have liked the other rook to take better, because after c takes b6, a takes b6, now the a file is opened up. So we could have had both of our rooks on the a and c files, which are pretty open. But now we just have a rook on c8. Maybe this rook wants to come to the d file, which would be nice, actually. So all is still well. Black could have interposed a check first, but they decide to save it. There is queen block, and I'm not sure if you want to trade queens. So Thomas is up material, up a pawn technically, but I like black here. Black has a very strong idea. Rook here opposite the queen. White has a couple moves before they can castle, and black can definitely try to hinder that with a strong move like check, which isn't too hard to find. So yeah, if this king is stuck in the center, then it's going to be hard to play. But with this last development move, white is looking to get castled into safety. Again, queen check is an idea. You would have to block with something if you want to still castle. So I would love to play rook to d8. It might be a little too slow. We could try something like hit this. We go for the check instead. I assume queen block. Queen block, yes. Now, you cannot take the pawn because it's defended now. I think we just leave the queens on the board. I think if you take, they take with the knight. Yeah, not the biggest fan of. Maybe rook to d8 now. Okay, so knight back, and if castles, this hits, and it's pretty bad for white. So right now the knight's defended because the king is still here. The bishop is hanging, so it's a target. If you castle, then both pieces are hanging. So yeah, this is a solid move. Trying to trade knights. So yeah, that's why I wasn't the biggest fan of taking with the queen. It's because now we're trading down a lot and we're still down a pawn. So chances of regaining this material are not as high as if we had more material on the board. So that's why they say if you're up material, you always trade down. Okay, so the rook finally comes to d8, but white is already castled and safe, and they're in time to defend, and we have more pawn moves near this king. Not a fan of this move. But what else is there? I don't know. Maybe you try to attack some pawns, but you'll get counterattacked. Okay, flight square for white. I think I'm missing a game. I don't see Thunder Ross versus Shajan. Oh, there it is. Speak of the devil. They just now started their game. Let's look at Brent's game. See how Brent's doing. Okay, this is pretty even. Yeah, so the top board versus Brent. Yeah, 1800, 1600. This will be the closest match, I think, of the entire match. The closest game of the entire match. And lo and behold, it is pretty even. Completely even, except this white or this pawn is isolated. But I suspect this to be a draw. Okay, here check first. Interesting. Not a big fan of the check first. I don't like allowing king to f4. I think that's no good. I think that white's better now. I think if black simply played rook to c5, just defending the pawn, very hard for white to make progress. So now, yeah, you take here, take here, take here, take here, take here. You're better with the pawn. I mean, a moment ago, it was completely even. These trades definitely favor white. I suspect it still might be a draw, but it's hard to say. Pawn here, I think, is good. Perhaps. No, going for the trade. Wow. This is confidence here by white, actually. So yeah, if the rook leaves, you lose this pawn. So the question is, do we defend this first? Okay, check inserted. I don't know if I'm a big fan of this. The king just cannot step back, I think. I mean, maybe it could, because if you step back and you take with check, you attack the rook. Oh, taking here is really good. Yeah, you don't want to stay on the e-file either. Because now, rook takes, rook check, skewer, take this, and then king takes, and then just king here wins the game. So now white is completely winning, I believe. I think 2 pawns should be good enough. So yeah, from even strength, drawn endgame, black couldn't help themselves from inserting this check against the king, and that allows the king to invade, stepping up and winning all these pawns, followed by a really nice rook move, saying you trade into this worst king and pawn endgame, or yeah, rook. So rook over should be good. Threatening to skewer. Running the pawn. Okay. Rook here. Rook here to here. And then push. Or just push now. And then rook here. I don't know why. So I think that white should cut the king off. Like go right here. This is also fine. I think that this is the wrong path for the king. Because now the king is cut off from the promotion square. I think the king needed to run backwards. Didn't do so. Let's look at Thomas. They've got 11 seconds. Offering a rook trade, but now this pawn's promoting. So you can't stop it. You're too far. Okay, so Thomas is going to win this one against Res Martian. Just got to hope for stalemate at this point, I suppose. Just don't blunder. They are low time. So yeah, you want to get rid of the pawn moves. Okay, queen check. King here, king here. Yeah, just get rid of the pawn, honestly, or bring the king over. Hope for stalemate. King here. Nope. Oh, the king's cut off now, so they resign. Ouch. Wait. Oh, king here wins. Don't push the pawn. Nice technique from Brent. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. So they traded rooks. Why did you trade rooks? Here, check. Yeah, you don't want to take. They won that pawn, though. But yeah, okay. So Thomas Cusack with the point. Northeastern's bottom board with their first point of the match. Brent and Dangermeyer still winning their games. There's one game left. It's the one that started late. Thunder Ross versus Shajan. So can Thunder Ross get an upset win here? Bishop here, that's game over. That's deadly. Yeah. So again, opposite side castles. This king side is just torn to shreds. Queen takes, denying the queen trade. You might want to get the queens off the board, honestly, because your king is not safe at all with queen and rook. Instead, you elect to defend the pawn this way, but the problem now is after the knight move, this is just to open up the rook to put the bishop here. So really well played from white. Bishop here, and that's mate in one. Nicely done by Shajan. So the bottom two boards from Northeastern keeping it tied. Is there going to be any... There has not been a single upset win this entire match. I think that if this trend continues, it's just going to be dead drawn at 8-8, which will be crazy. So it's like every single expected outcome happens. All right, so Pie Master versus Brent. The second board from Northeastern versus the second board from Sacred Heart. These are the board twos here. The final round. The fourth and final round. You know what would be exciting is to see if these two teams like made playoffs and then played in playoffs. Because if you tie 8-8, you got to go to tie breaks. Eventually, there would be an upset win somewhere. Somewhere, some way, somehow. Because it would just happen. It's like one of those things in sports where there's like no definitive overtime period. Like in baseball, the game could theoretically last forever, right? There's no limit. There's no break. It's just you play until someone wins. It's the same in the Collegiate Chess League. It's like hockey. In hockey, during the regular season, you have the shortened overtime periods, but in playoffs, it's full 20-minute periods of tiebreak, overtime, sudden death, and you just go until someone wins. So I don't know the record off the top of my head, but like the longest game is probably like 3 normal games stitched together, which is absurd. I think in college football they still have ties, right? After like 3 overtimes, if it's still tied, it's tied, and then you just stop. Something like that. It's very unlikely, but I think it still happens. But yeah, here in the regular season, there is no tie breaks, unfortunately, to help save time, I guess, with scheduling and stuff like that. But we do have tie breaks in playoffs. There must be a declared victor between the match. But yeah, not saying I expect the game to be tied. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. It's like the rating differences between all these teams are so high. I think that the best chances of an upset win have already happened in round 3. I think like Brent versus Daniel, the second board for Singhar versus the top board from Northeastern, as well as I think Rez Martian versus Thomas Cusack in round 3. Those are the 2 closest matches. Let's look at the top boards here. Let's see if Sinfranchik can get anything going. This is Daniel versus Daniel. Who's the better Daniel? So White Castles. Does Black Castle as well? We have all 4 games going underway. Does Black Castle? They're thinking about it. They might take, they might push. I think pushing is good here. Like normally the bishop doesn't come to d3 with the pawn on c2. Normally the pawn moves somewhere, and so the bishop tucks back a lot of times, and then the queen steps up, leading the way. Instead, we have the bishop on d3 with the pawn still on c2. So if c4 from black, the bishop's gonna have to go back to e2, which is a less active diagonal for white. So maybe Daniel I said Daniel, but they're both named Daniel. I think Daniel's gonna win this game. I have high suspicion, or maybe they draw this game. A draw would be huge for Northeastern, as Daniel's much higher rated than Daniel. Yeah, 21-21 versus 1600. Okay, e4, threatening the fork. Ooh. Well, not anymore. Capture on d4 attacks the pawn or the knight, and also removes the supporter of e5. So, yeah, this last move gives up the d pawn, takes on d4, takes on d5, saying if you take me, I take you. And that's exactly what black's going for. So, takes the knight, kind of forced. So now do you take here or do you take here? So you take here for sure. Can white take here as well? Is my question. Can white take here as well? If you take my rook, I'll take your rook. You take my queen, I'll take your queen. My queen is safe on a8. I'm attacking this pawn. What on earth is happening? I do not know. If you save your rook, I'll take your pawn. You cannot take mine. Yeah, I think white should just take, which is kind of crazy, but I think that's what they should do. And they do it. So now probably black takes here. Probably black takes. Because you're still threatening this, as well as developing, as well as attacking this twice now. So, yeah, this whole sequence was pretty good for Daniel. I think Daniel might have missed some of this when they initially played e4. Not taking here. Saying, I think my bishop's more valuable to attack this. So white puts the stop to that, says, nuh-uh. You ain't taking on a2. You can just go ahead and take my knight, leaving us with opposite colored bishops if you want to ruin my pawn structure. So the question is, can white regain this pawn? And I think it's going to be harder than it seems. Well, actually, the rook covers knight or bishop here. Maybe what we need is bishop takes, queen takes, bishop e5. But then white can just move their queen away, and the pawn structure will be intact. But I think that, like, this pawn's going to be very annoying to get back if black plays it right. I think black could definitely mess up and lose the pawn. Then white should be okay, but I think overall, obviously, black is much better. Bishop pair, pass pawn, the option to ruin white's structure. But it's not so clear. Okay, so bishop does take. Most definitely queen takes, right? I think if pawn takes, that's got to hurt. That's got to be bad. So definitely takes. Let's look at Brent's. Brent's actually very low on time. But up material, up 2 pawns. The queens are off. Brent's got the bishop pair. Might lose this. Maybe you go here. No, going here. But doesn't this drop material? So knight takes d5. So only up 1 pawn now. Oh, but there goes the knight. This knight was pinned. I guess this was always a threat. Wow, so leaving the rooks open. So takes. This is winning for Brent though. Like, even if the structure is bad, this is very weak. In fact, for rook check, we can go here. You're gonna have problems. So bishop goes here, rook here. You still don't really want to take this. Also, if the rook leaves, we can get the rook to the back rank ourselves, threatening rook takes, bishop check, I guess. But this is probably just best. So Brent, I have confidence, can finish that one out. Let's look at the top boards here. San Francisco is on the run. Danger Meyer's in a much better position. You can take this, give that up, go here. What else can you do? You can put a bishop here, which is pretty annoying. Holding on to this again. Yeah, white just took with the pawn. I think you should start with the queen, honestly. So, let's look at Thomas versus Thunder Ross. These are the bottom boards. What's happening here? Thomas is in a big lead. Very big lead. I don't know what the king's doing over here. Oh, which one haven't we looked at? The board 3s. Oh, Res Martian. Res Martian's got a lead here. This could be the upset Sacred Heart needs to win. Lone Wolf, thanks for the follow. Welcome. Let me know if you're a student. Oh, we have Shaq Masteos spectating. Okay, so this should be mate very soon. If white didn't have these pawns, rook here would be a really good stalemating trick. I don't know if it'd be a draw or not, but yeah, rook here is mate. All right, so Brent gets the first game. Flawless, 4 out of 4. Thomas should win this one. Danger should win this one. It's not extremely clear, but heavy favorite, especially just based off rating. They're both under 30 seconds. Both under 30 seconds. Black is better, but this is really the game that's going to decide it. If Thunder Ross can get, or no, if Res Martian can get this upset, Sacred Heart should win. Unless something happens here. I mean, this game is far from over. Oh, that's a skewer. Hold on. Queen, no. That's a try, but okay, here, take this way, or okay, that way too. Daedremeyer now is up in exchange and a pawn. Ooh, you don't want to undouble these. But yeah, this pawn is massive. Bishop here, bishop here, bishop here wins the pawn back. Why aren't you going for this? Now you can defend the pawn that way. No, rook check. No, okay. Not king here, I guess. Just go here. Why don't you want to go here? Go here, my friend. A lot of king shuffles, but you gotta try to make progress. This, I don't know. I don't know about that. You really gotta find this. Now, you have to. You have to. No. There goes the bishop too. What was wrong with bishop b3? My friend. Rook takes. Rook takes is possible. I mean, you're down a rook. Rook here now. Next is GG. All right. So Daedremeyer's going to win this one. Unless a stalemate. Only king moves for white. Mate next. All right. So, oh, we had a point from Thomas Cusack. Taking down Thunder Ross. We got a 4th point from Daniel. So it all comes down to this final game. Sacred Heart needs a draw, but it looks like they're going to win. Can Shajan bring it back? Shajan is in a must-win situation. So, okay, Shajan can take here? No? No, they can't. This knight... Dude, didn't they have this pawn structure last time? Who had this? Someone had the same thing. Okay, push the pawn now. This is good. This is good for white. Res Martian should win this. Yeah, they're going for it. They're going for the fork. So you gotta move the king back. But where? Here? There's this, maybe. Yeah, they find it. So both players under a minute. The threat is to just keep going, I guess. There's this check. Oh, king gets off this discovery. That makes sense. But there goes the pawn. And now f2 is weak. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Res Martian. The initiative is slowly turning in black's favor. Oh, but there's a fork. Never mind. I take it all back. Take it all back. So king g2 hanging in the pawn. Okay, wait, fork. Hold up. 93. Okay, king over. Knight takes. You take this way. So white's still better. White is still better. This knight is coming here. King up. Attacking. Probably take the... Oh, watch out for the... Wait, check? Oh my goodness. Check? Oh, here? Huh. Here. Oh, but takes here. Wow. Don't give check. There's that... Dude. Dude. It's completely even now. Black is better. Black is ahead in material. Wow. I think black's going to win this, and it's going to be a tie. Oh my god. Was Oh! Oh, never mind. Okay, but these pawns are rolling. Black is gonna win. That's insane. What were they down? They were down like a whole rook. It was up in exchange, but 3 pawns as well. I forgot what it was officially, but there goes the G pawn, or yeah, B3 is fine. A3, A2. Wow. A3, A2. There it is. Oh, just trade down now and GG. Takes, push, or push, and well, I mean, it's over. Okay, white has to play for stalemate. White has to play for stalemate. If it's a stalemate, they can still win. Get rid of the pawns though. Oh no. Oh no, get rid of the pawn. Get rid of the pawn. No, it's mate next. GG. What a comeback from the third board from Northeastern. So absolutely 0 upsets at all happened this match. The top 2 boards both won every single game for Sacred Heart. And everyone on Northeastern C beat the bottom 2 boards from Sacred Heart. So that's how you get the 8-8 tie. I'm telling you, if these 2 teams went to playoff or like to tiebreakers, that would be I don't know how long that would last. But yeah, just to recap this game, I guess. To Res Martian's dismay. Let's see what happened here. So Res Martian was doing well. At what point? So there's a pawn. And there's another pawn plus the exchange. There's a third pawn. So an exchange plus 3 pawns. But then from here on out, Shaejin said no more. Now it's my turn. So the tricky knights, dude. The tricky knights. So here's 1 pawn. There's the exchange back. So what is it now? So white's up now 2 pawns. But there's 1 of them. There's 2 of them. And they're just up. Yeah, the time pressure got to Res Martian. So that was unfortunate. Oh man. Yeah, but the 8-8 tie. Playoffs would last 40 days. I don't know. I mean, like anything could happen on these lower boards. Again, I think like the closest match would be like this one, or Res Martian versus Thomas Cusack, or Brent versus Daniel Safranchik. Those would be your potential upset games. Or Brent versus Pie Master, I guess. But yeah, everyone did exactly what they needed to do, and the team is just completely dead even drawn.